welcome everyone to the 11th episode of Global AI, the podcast. I am Arafat Tassim. I'm a Microsoft MVP for AI. I've got with me Somi, who is also Microsoft MVP in AI from Down Under. And this time we have got guests from the Asian Pacific region, not from this market. They are the first friends from Singapore. So we would like to invite them over here on the screen. Josh and Bhanuka from Staple.io. So would you guys like to introduce yourself, starting from Josh?
So, Hi, I'm Josh. I'm CTO. I'm one of the co-founders of Staple AI.
Hi, so I'm Bhanuka and I'm a machine learning engineer at Stable AI.
Oh, cool. So would you like to start with what is Staple and like what do you guys have been doing, or any of your intro?
Sure. So Staple AI is a Singapore company. We founded in 2018. And what we do is extract and standardize data from documents. So a document can come into the system. It's a PDF, Word doc, an image of a document like a PNG or JPEG, TIFF, photo of it. And what we do is we extract and standardize that data such that it can be processed in an ERP system or matched against other data. Likewise. So what we're doing is replacing the manual work of reading and reconciling data at scale. So it's cloud and it's on-prem.
And if I ask you that, who is your target market over here? Who are you targeting?
So most of our customers are large multinationals. So primarily we work with banks, large engineering firms, insurance providers, anyone with large paperwork processes. So we do a lot in the accounting automation space, mostly accounts payable, so that's invoices, purchase orders, catalogs, and cross-referencing that. For banking clients, it's a lot of KYC documentation, and for insurance, there's lots of tax documents and proofs of address. But we have quite a flexible solution, so it's multilingual, and we do a whole range of different documents. In fact, you can actually define the kinds of things you're looking for in your own models as well. So if you have a use case that you're trying to do, you can actually do it no code in our platform.
You mentioned about multilingual support. So does your system support the languages which start from right to left?
Bhanuka, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, so I can take that one. Yeah, so we do support up to like 90 languages, and we support documents in like Arabic, which are from right to left even. So we don't use like a special method just for like specific languages. We use like a more feature-based method, so we are able to handle different languages.
All right, cool.
That is great.
This sounds interesting because there have been a lot of solutions in the past, and they are starting to support a lot of languages, but we have not seen a lot of the solutions which are supporting these kind of languages which are starting from right to left. And I don't know what is the technicality behind this, what is the challenge. So we'll definitely learn from you on that. But so document AI or AI in documents have been a very hot topic these days, and we still think that there's a lot of hidden treasure in this jargon. So if you can shed some light on the technical aspect of it, like how is it working behind the scenes, and then we'll come to the language part, that how you are doing it from right to left, because as I said, it has been a challenge for a couple of other solutions that we have seen, specifically, which are not supporting from right to left. So first, if you can just highlight some of the technical aspects.
Yeah, so I guess before going technicalities of how we do things, I should explain how legacy systems and legacy OCR providers do what they do. So OCR's been around since like the 80s or something. It's pretty legacy at this point. So OCR, optical character recognition, for anyone familiar. What that does is that takes in an image of a document or image of text, and it turns that into text, so strings. The way old systems would work is you make a template. So think of a stencil, and you apply that over the documents you're interested in. So in the case of an invoice, you would say the address is always in the top right for this vendor. Invoice number is always top left. Total is always here. Problems with these systems, they are brittle long term because every time a vendor changes, the whole solution breaks. It doesn't scale when you're having loads of vendors come in. It definitely won't work with photos, and it probably breaks in production anyway because an address changes length and things shift on the page, or for some reason your items change length and your table moves over to the second page. It all goes wrong. Well, this has been in place for a while for invoices. Staple takes a different approach. So what we do is we define the data points you're looking for within a document, and then we train the AI to look for these data points within any document coming in. So it's going to fill these predefined fields. This is much more flexible. It's a lot more scalable going forward. So the pipeline of the next iteration upon this was people have started to define kind of rules-based systems for data processing. So for invoices, people do the naive way. They would do an OCR on the entire page. They get positions of boxes of text where they link to, and then they write a regular expression function that says, if you see the word invoice number, look on the right-hand side. Is there a number? Great. Continue. Grab that. And these are specific for right to left because they're writing set codes of logic and algorithms to do this. Staple doesn't do this. So we have generated set sorts of logic to relate what we call key indicators. So something that would indicate that another value somewhere around the page is going to be, say, an invoice number or the billing address or the sending address. And we've trained that generally to apply to different kinds of documents. Then we can, when a document comes in, we can find those keywords and then find the associated value anywhere around the page. So it's going to look left, it's going to look right, and it will usually look to the right and to the below, because that's where you'd see things in most English language documents and everything apart from Arabic and Hebrew. But failing that, it will start to go, oh wait, no, this document's flipped, and then it'll work backwards. So it's just a matter of training that methodology. Sorry, that was a bit of a rambling one then. Hope that got the methodology across.
Yeah, that makes sense. Just curious to know how are you doing the invoices part? Like, we have got a different set of format in Australia, and in New Zealand there's a different format, and I'm sure in your part of the world, Singapore, there will be a different format. So do we have to go and label the documents first, or it is just whatever we provide?
Okay. So every invoice is different. Sorry, Benuka.
So basically, we have a predefined set of models which we have trained with a lot of data, and they are able to pick from different types of invoices, and it's able to look for different fields in different types of invoices. But in these models, these are predefined. So the staple solution is much better because you don't have to build from scratch. Like, you have a model to start off, and you can improve on that.
And so I got that, but is it? I'm sure that there are cases if I upload a document and it may not be able to detect 100% of what I want it to be detected. So is there any kind of reinforcement learning going on over there if I can just label the correct one so that the next time it trains itself and then comes up with the correct data?
Yes.
So I think Josh, you're good. Yeah.
Sorry. So yeah, you should never expect 100% accuracy from any solution. You shouldn't expect it from humans either. Humans actually tend to be about 96% accurate across invoice processing generally, and it gets lower the more they do, interestingly. So yeah, most of what we do is via API, but we have a user interface specifically for flagging cases where an exception occurs. An exception being a document where not all the data is captured, or the data does not pass what we call sanity measures. Line item don't have to a subtitle. The year of the invoice is 2,300. Something's wrong. In that case, we flag out to the user, it goes into the interface, and we have a point and click to they can correct that data. That goes back into the AI, but it's not just a simple reinforcement learning, because if you do this approach, it's going to take too long to see those corrections in behavior go back into your workflow, and users will not forgive a machine for making an error. They will be a lot more forgiving to a human to get something wrong, but for some reason they expect computers to get things perfect every time, even if it's an ML solution. For that reason, we actually combine reinforcement learning with an element of fingerprinting on repeat documents that we have. It's not specific templating again. It's a more advanced fingerprinting technique, which is something we've designed in-house, which also applies for photos and various format documents. But doing that, the users can see immediate feedback on any system, plus we can retrain the base on the AI as we go, which is sort of how we make things work a lot quicker.
It's interesting that you mentioned that you're taking two maybe combination of different approaches to be able to maybe read the documents properly. But going back to the complex documents and maybe the different languages, you mentioned that there are like some predefined templates that you will try to base the new, for example, format of the documents based on that predefined layout. So if we don't maybe tag or label the documents or the bits and pieces of the documents, for example, if we get a document in the right to left kind of languages with complex format, how the system is going to detect what it is without
it's
the
not
label?
predefined layouts that we use. So we have predefined models. A model, for example, the invoice model.
Yep.
We have many models actually. The invoice model will look for invoice number, PO number, invoice date, payment date, a whole list of things, and it is looking to fill those things, but it is not formatted to one specific style of invoice. You give it any document or any photo, and it's going to try and fill these things. You could give it something completely wrong. You could give it a photo of your dog, and it's going to try and find an invoice number there. Now, it's not going to in this case because nothing is going to pass the confidence threshold, and it's certainly not going to pass the sanity checks, but you can pass anything in. So that's how we do those things, if that makes sense.
No, it does. To follow up on that question, some of the printed documents, they have like specific characters or symbols like checkbox, bullet points. So how does that handle those cases? Is it again going back to that model, or it has a different feature that provides?
Anuka, you want to?
Yeah, so we do handle checkboxes. So we look for checkboxes in document, and we have a way to extract checkboxes in the document and then fill the fields respective to that checkbox. And it's the same with the lists also. We are able to break down a list into separate elements and then return it as a array of sentences.
We look for specific data types in documents as well. So that's part of what helps our accuracy. So we have a special part which is looking for just addresses, which is best for getting addresses. Then we can break it down by first line, second line, vendor name, etc. We have one which is for especially just for dates, and that's great because it reformats all your dates to the same format. Americans do make my life difficult with their nonsense format. Sorry, anyone listening, please change that if you're in power.
Even with the date, it's the same case. It's complex. We have different type of calendars, so I guess that's not an easy thing.
Well, it's even with other countries like Thailand are in a completely different year. So you're not even a Gregorian calendar anymore, just to make things really difficult. But then we also have special things for just table detection. So mascot CNNs for capturing an area of a table before we slice that out. Is what I go that. And then there's a few text boxes, lists for bullet points. So we define different things to do different jobs and combine this together.
And so you are talking about symbols, checkboxes, but I've seen from one of your videos that the handwriting support is already also there. So are these any kind of language? Any kind of language, as in any language which is supported with the proper, I would say, digitized font, or there are some specific handwriting languages which are only supported?
Yep. So the ability. Okay. The way Staple works, first we do computer vision, we clean images coming in. So, perspective shifts, dewarping if it's crumpled, anti-blurring. After that, you've got an OCR or PDF mine if you've got, or text mine. If it's a text, if it's UTF-8 character or something, we can just pull that. And even if it's any font, any style, we've immediately got that text, so that's great. The other one is just relying on the power of the OCR. So as long as we can OCR it, we can get that text perfectly. And then once we've done that, we've actually now got text. Great. Now the hard work begins of getting that all standardized into that format. People ask about handwriting. As long as your handwriting is not as bad as a doctor's handwriting, you're probably going to be okay. Digits are great. Cursive doctor's handwriting is a constant source of problem, because even though we can spell correct, there are limits.
That's very interesting and challenging, reading the handwritten text. It's hard. Changing the maybe the flow of the questions. Is there any out-of-the-box integration with any other systems that Staple provides? So maybe there are other existing systems that they have also documentation. So is there any functionality of integrating those systems without transferring all the data?
Yep. So we've got a couple. So for our cloud platform, it comes with a lot of built-in integrations. We have what we call feeds, which are ways to pass documents in. So we have WhatsApp and WeChat. You can literally just take a photo on your phone and send it in via. So WhatsApp doesn't have apps. You have to send it via phone number, and we sync it to your account. WeChat, you scan the QR code and we link it. We also have Dropbox, Google Drive, and email connections, and API, of course. And then on the outputs, we have direct connections to a number of systems. So we've got QuickBooks, Xero, Concur for accounts payable. So that's a lot of invoice processing. We're looking to do Coupa and SAP Ariba probably next. But a lot of companies who use our software will build their own integration connection using our APIs. We have RESTful APIs, so I think we do.
That was my next question. So as a developer, if I want to integrate my solution to your system, so there are APIs that we can use, right?
It's all RESTful and it's all in a Postman collection. So you can just download it and it's there ready for you.
Awesome. With documentation, of course.
Of course.
Cool.
All right. So now we have asked a bunch of questions about what specifically Staple has been doing, and the technicality, what you guys are building. But let's talk about as a broad topic, as an industry, how this solution you and your competitors have been building. So would you like to talk to us about some of the solutions you have seen which involve this technology? Like you mentioned about, Josh, about the banks and their different use cases. But if you can, let's say, talk about just 3 or 4, that would be great for our listeners in the audience.
Sure. Do you want me? I'll move to use cases, because if I talk about competitors, I'm going to say something mean about them, and I don't want to make enemies on the podcast. So use cases are common. The bread and butter for most. Okay. When you're evaluating use cases, you want to choose. Ooh, oh no! Oh, have my headphones died? Oh no, I'm still good. Is this making a sound at me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. When we're evaluating use cases, what we tell people to do is look for your low-hanging fruit. So look for document processing in your company where your time is being wasted. So you've either got high volume of documents, or the documents are big and are a pain in the ass, like term sheets. For some, even though they're doing 300 a month, you're paying high paid staff to read these and put it into an Excel, which is nonsense. So first, find your low-hanging fruit. Then you evaluate your criteria of what is required. So do you need table capture? Do you need multilingual? So Staple fulfills most criteria when you're evaluating an AI or an OCR solution. So we can do a lot of things most people can't in these things, especially multilingual and on-prem. Not many people do on-prem solutions. And then, if possible, look for something that's got a predefined connection to the system you're using. So if you're using SAP Concur or Ariba, try and have that already built, because that will cost you a fortune with an integrator if you're building in-house. Use cases, our bread and butter is invoices flow. So for MNCs, they're doing purchase order delivery, no invoice. You have to scan them all, we match it in the software. Yes, we can translate the text as well as it comes in, so it might come in a different language. So we cross-reference and put it in. That's a lot of the work. A lot of them is KYC onboarding for banks. So most digital banks, I won't name names, but when you're onboarding, it's really fast onboard. You take a photo of yourself, take a photo of your ID card, take a photo of your passport, and it goes, yep, cool, here's an account. That's growing now. So soon they're going to increase this to having unsecured loans as well. You take a few photos and you send a bank statement and you get a loan. In order to do that, you need to have quick AI reading and verification of these documents and cross-referencing between them. And it has to be accurate. So that's what we supply there. Last ones is a lot of audit and tax stuff. So, it's tax forms, high volume, boring stuff, which unfortunately you have to get well-paid staff in the company to do. And it's a great efficiency gain. Just immediately you can let them do more enjoyable activities. So than reading tax form.
Cool. That's interesting. So where do you see this leading us? What do you think or how many business do you think they will integrate and use this sort of solution in the next 2-3 years? What do you see in the future?
In 2 or 3 years, invoice processing isn't going anywhere. You've got systems like PayPal or actually e-invoicing systems, which are meant to kind of circumvent reading, and it's meant to have a proper digital form of the document. Mm-hmm. It's not going to take off. It may be enforced in some countries. For example, Vietnam, if you do over 150,000 in recurring revenue, I think, then you have to use e-invoicing. But for most of your accounts payable, it's still going to be paper-based. And that's going to be a long period of time. And still tax forms, ID cards, it's going to exist for a long time. I think you will see a lot of big companies do a lot more digital innovation for efficiency gains. Most large companies already have a digital innovation officer or someone who's just looking at that for projects, especially in banks. That will increase. I would like to think eventually Staple wouldn't be necessary. Like, really, we're reading documents, we're processing it into systems. We're solving a problem that really shouldn't exist if you design a system well. Like, really, you're creating data. That data should just directly be passed. You shouldn't be printed off and scanned in again by someone.
That is correct. Yeah.
Unfortunately, I just don't see it going anywhere for the next 50 to 100 years. PDFs, most of our work we do is computer-generated PDFs. Someone's made a PDF with a document, they sent it in, and we're scanning it again to reread it. Alas, but yeah, it's not going anywhere. So I think we're going to take a lot of uptake.
Yeah, come to think of it, there are lots of other use cases. People on site, they do like on-site visit. They have to write up reports and they have to send those reports back. So that system, even though it's helping to go paperless, still, as to your point, they need to have it written somewhere to scan it. So maybe we'll end up digitalize everything or automated everything. But at the end of the day, I guess to your point, yes, this is not going to go anywhere. So we're still going to need this solution.
Good for Staple.
So I would like to ask one question from Bhanuka from your technical standpoint, and not just talking about Staple. How much of a work from the scratch do you as an engineer have to do to create these kind of solutions from the scratch?
So actually, that's one main point of Stable. So as an engineer, for me, it's more of maintenance now, as it's more user centric. So the user will be able to create their own model, and then if it's a very specialized document, if it's like an invoice receipt, then they have we have predefined models, and we can easily like work on that, and with the feedback system it will keep on improving. But if you want like a special document like tax notices and stuff, so those ones we would have to like initially create a model, and then the user can still do this by himself. So as an engineer, it's more towards maintenance and any special requirements from the user.
So, would you like to tell us, like, not what you're doing in Staple, as I said, but what algorithms and what kind of technical details are you guys using to build these things? So, yeah, is there any is are we talking about purely um, RNN which are being run, CNN which are being run? Is there any kind of crazy deep learning going on, or something like that?
Yeah, so like Josh mentioned earlier, like we have three stages basically: the pre-processing of the images. So for that, we use computer vision, like page developing, 4-point transforms, like all these stuff to make it fit and like to make it a better image for the OCR. Then next comes the OCR, which we extract the data, and we also like combine that with the PDF mining data to improve our OCR results. And once we have that, then we use RNNs, sentence word, and everything to get representations of the data, so we can easily find documents, and it's not very specific to each document. Yeah.
You can't just apply one single thing for these. Like you need we have a special server just for dealing with addresses that's just doing like a binary classification of, does this text block, do we think it's an address? If so, break it down. We've got other pieces, which is RCNNs just for table capture, looking, is there a table here? Where is it? Mask it on the page. So you need to kind of work these things together to really understand documents. Yeah. We've got quite a lot of microservices.
One question that comes to mind is there are multiple other systems that maybe does the similar thing that Staples are doing, like form recognizer that Microsoft has, or Google Document AI, or the document insight from IBM. Are you guys doing the same thing, or it's different?
So I'm not super familiar with those products, but our major points of differentiation for most systems is, firstly, we are completely on-premise when required. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if Microsoft services, if you can containerize it and deploy it to prem, so that's great, but if not, then that's an edge that we certainly have. Another big one is multilingual ability. The ability for no-code training of your own models. So maybe you have a great invoice model, but with us, you can tag birth certificates, and an hour later, you've got a birth certificate model. It's a great way to run. And last one is we have a feedback system, which is spookily good because it's not just reinforcement learning, it's a combination of that with advanced templating. So with just one correction, we see it come in. And that feedback's a really important thing. You can't expect the AI to get things 100%. If you want to get to about 95, 97%, and then if it sees the document again, you want it to be 100%, because that's when the user won't forgive a mistake. Because they're like, I did this, I corrected this morning. It must be perfect.
That's a very good point. So you use the feedback system to capture and reinforce the learning again.
Yep. That's really necessary.
Having that multilingual is another factor.
And one last question: when you talked about on-prem, so how big is the model when you are downloading it, or when customers are using it, or it gets in grow by the time?
I'm not sure how big the model is. That's a good.
I can answer that.
I ask about the disk space, not from the complexity side.
Yeah, Panuka?
Yeah,
Like-
so actually it depends on what the client wants. So if they want the whole system with all the models, then it'll take quite a lot of space. But if they are more specific towards a custom model or like or an invoice model, then I think it's not that like it won't take that much space.
In terms of CPU usage, we can max out like especially 64 CPUs. Like we can really grow the whole system. It's the whole Kubernetes service.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask from the resource point of view. That okay, yes, it's on-prem, it's good. Definitely, it's good because it's not. I'm not going cloud every time, and not paying you being stable for that again. But if it is going to consume a lot of my resources, then it would be a problem to me as well. But yeah, from your point, I think discussion, I found out that we are in the middle of that.
Yeah. It is, and it honestly for some clients when they look at the resource usage, like whoa, that's a lot of CPU usage. But an OCR, if you want to scan 1,000 documents a minute, and you want to run it through an AI, it's going to take a lot. But if you're an on-prem solution and you want complete data privacy, that's what you've got to do.
Makes sense.
Until we have
yes.
homomorphic encryption, until we have secure servers, some secure encryption methods. Go on, Azure.
All right. All right. So that's all, I think. Thanks a lot for your time, guys, and we really looking forward to have another good episode, good story from another person or company or anyone from community who's creating awesome solutions around AI. So stay tuned, everyone, and thanks, Stepple, for your presence, for your time. We'll see you for the next episode, which will be our 12th episode. Hopefully, so Global AI, the podcast will turn one by that time. And yeah, that's it. All right. Yes. So okay, now goodbye. So do you like to say any goodbye words, Josh?
I feel like I've talked through most of this podcast, but I started cheap Come to our website, contact us. You register for a free account and have a go.
All right.
Automate your processes.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks.
Thank you. Enjoy.